أحيل الكلمة إذن إلى صديقي الأمين العام للكوميسا ليقول كلمة.
I was saying, Your Excellency, my dear brother, Dr. Taye Bakushe, the Secretary General of the Arab Maghreb Union, Excellency Mr. Hesham Ben Ahmed, the Secretary of State for Foreign Trade. It's good to see you again. I last saw you when I was here for the negotiations a couple of months ago for membership. Let me also recognize the representative from the UMA member states that are here and members of the press, and simply say all protocol observed. Assalamu alaikum. Bonjour. Bonjour. Allow me first to express my gratitude to the government and people of Tunisia for the warm hospitality and the excellent logistic facilities extended to me and my delegation since our arrival in Tunisia. This beautiful country, which will become the 20th COMESA member state in 2018, during our next COMESA Summit of Heads of State and Government. We, as I indicated to you, we are looking at the date sometime in April for our summit. We should have taken place in October. I'm saying this against the background that the negotiations have been completed and the admission has been done. All that remains is the signature when the summit meets. Excellency, dear brother, allow me to take this opportunity to particularly thank you for your invitation to participate in the Maghreb Forum for the presentation of the study on the status and challenges for external trade financing for the Arab Maghreb Union countries. I wish this particular meeting fruitful deliberations. But let me also express my happiness to be here today to sign the MOU, which will be the basis of cooperation between COMESA and UMA, as you have rightly indicated. Today, we are happy that we have reached this stage within a month after an official visit to the COMESA Secretariat. This visit took place from 5 to 6 December, which is hardly 3 weeks ago, or 2 weeks ago. The speed at which we have moved is proof of our mutual strong willingness to start our cooperation as soon as possible. Excellency, dear brother, ladies and gentlemen, we know that UMA is a regional economic community of 5 member states aiming to strengthen the ties of brotherhood which link the member states and their peoples to one another, achieve progress and prosperity of their societies, and defend their rights, contribute to the preservation of peace based on justice and equity, pursue a common policy in different domains, and work gradually towards achieving free movement of persons and transfer of services, goods, and capital among them. We know that UMA has a great economic potential with a total GDP of more than 400 billion United States dollars and a per capita GDP of over 6,000 United States dollars, with a total population of more than 90 million, people. I'm using the 2012 figures. Of course, it's higher than that now. Your region is also rich in natural resources like oil, metallic and non-metallic minerals and fisheries. Moreover, the region has most of the key characteristics of a dynamic markets, such as population, per capita income, geographic continuity, transport infrastructure, human resources, cultural and linguistic affinities. From our side, COMESA is a regional economic community of 19 member states whose mission is to endeavor to achieve sustainable economic and social progress in all member states through increased cooperation and integration in all fields of development, particularly in trade, customs, monetary affairs, transport, communication, information, technology, industry and energy, gender, agriculture and environment, and natural resources. And one of its main objectives being to promote business. In fact, COMESA is known as a business organization because of our agenda, but our market integration strategy is based on trade and investment. Because in order for you to trade, you must then invest. And we need that investment for the structural economic transformation of our economies and the diversification of the production base so that we move to value-added products and also have regional value chains. Since the establishment of the COMESA Free Trade Area on 31st October 2000, intra-regional exports have increased from 1.5 billion to 10.1 billion in 2014. COMESA registered a 6% growth of its global trade from US dollars 290 billion in 2013 to United States dollars 307 billion in 2014. I should perhaps indicate here that perhaps the issue that is being addressed by this workshop is not unique to UMA. We are also facing more or less the same problem. Whereas our trade with the rest of the world accounts for almost 88% of our total trade, of which 12% is intra-regional trade. What we have found from the analysis that we have done is that out of that trade, 82.5 billion United States dollars are products that are produced within COMESA, but that are not traded within COMESA. And we're trying to address that issue to find out what is it that is causing that. Is it because the exporters have got their own traditional markets, or is it because they are getting better prices in other markets than they'll get within the region? I don't think the latter would be correct, because you will find that the prices in the COMESA region are much higher than from outside. I know some people will say that it's because of the lack of transport connectivity. And I would say yes, to a certain extent. But the fact that our trade with the EU, with China and others has increased over the years, it means they're also using the same transport infrastructure. They're using the same transport services that we have in the region. So we need to try to understand what is it that is not making it possible for this trade to take place. And we can only do that when we also engage the private sector, because they are the ones that are producing the goods and services that are traded. So I just wanted to say that there are a lot of common challenges that we face, and that perhaps working together through this MOU, we should be able to figure out exactly what can be done, by whom, when and where. With regard to the COMESA region itself, just for the information of the delegates here, we have an enormous potential sectors in the following products: textiles, wooden furniture, horticultural produce, products, household items, hides and skins. In fact, when you look at the hides and skins, the COMESA region accounts for almost 30% of the global production of hides. And yet, when it comes to the values, they are very, very little. But we also have got a lot of potential, I should mention this, in the pharmaceutical sector. Our intra-regional trade in pharmaceuticals is approximately 1 billion out of the 25 billion imports. So there's also a lot of potential there. So we've got to figure out how can the private sector take advantage of this market? Because without that trade connectivity, then regional integration will remain elusive. But we also have a lot of unmanufactured and unmanufactured tobacco, precious metals, refined copper and copper alloys, waste and scrap ferrous metals, steel and plastics, and so forth and so on. But what is also very interesting is that when you look at the value chain, the value addition, you'll find that we don't have much. And this is why we need to address the issue as we work together of how can we get our industries to be part of that value chain. I know, for example, that Nissan, which has got its headquarters for Africa, in Egypt, that they are trying to figure out how to make this happen. Obviously, among the UMA countries, and I think Morocco is your member. Yes, Morocco has the most sophisticated, dynamic automotive sector. So we will have to try to figure out how that automotive and component sector can be part of the regional value chain. I'm saying this because it is always important, my dear brother, Excellency, and Secretary of State, for us to do things that are practical, but also link up with the private sector. Because at the end of the day, they are the ones who will make things happen. As I indicated, I'm happy today that we are signing this MOU because UMA is part of the 8 regional economic communities that are contributing towards the African Economic Community under the Abuja Treaty. I should say the second memorandum of understanding that we are signing. The other one that we have signed is with the Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS. So already I know that there's a lot of linkages between UMA and ECOWAS. So we can also look at that triangular, kind of cooperation. But you also rightly mentioned that COMESA, the East African Community, and the Southern African Development Community, SADC, are working on a tripartite FTA, which is going to be the basis for the continental FTA. It was only on 10th of June 2015 in Sharm el-Sheikh, Egypt, that we signed the agreement, which is now in the process of being ratified. The 3 regional economic communities account for, they have a total combined population of 650 million people and a combined GDP of 1.5 trillion United States dollars. So you can see that we have the opportunities for growth. And we'll have to try to figure out how we can begin to work together with respect to both trade and investment, because the continental free trade area can only be realized through the regional economic communities. This is how we can move, faster to do that. What, however, is important to us as we sign this MOU is that we have a lot of complementarities, and we should really exploit those, because those are the low-hanging fruits. It is therefore my expectation and your expectation that our technical staff, both in COMESA and UMA, will work very, very speedily to implement the specific projects that can be implemented at the earliest opportunity. And we need to identify them, prioritize them, because it's only when we begin to have something that is concrete that we can really say the MOU is achieving its intended purpose. It is a historic day today as we sign this MOU because the African Union Summit to be held towards the end of January next year, in addition to looking at the African Union reforms that are being headed by President Kagame of Rwanda, we'll also be looking at how to expedite integration, particularly how to boost intra-African trade. And the only practical and feasible way to boost that intra-African trade is through what we have done today. I'm happy, let me digress for a minute before I conclude, that my brother Ben Ahmed, you are with us here today. When we last met, you were in the Ministry of Transport. Now you are in the Ministry of Trade. I'm mentioning that because one of the challenges that the COMESA region faces is the maritime transport connectivity. Because when it comes to maritime transport, we don't have feeder services within the COMESA region to the extent that we have cargo that will go to Rotterdam before it comes down to the COMESA countries, which makes it very expensive. So I think we shall have to explore the opportunity of working with Tunisia, since you have got a maritime fleet and other countries, to see how it can be deployed in order to, transport the goods between and amongst the COMESA countries. It's something that I think is doable. In fact, the last Council of Ministers of COMESA and also the summit, they directed that this project should be realized as soon as possible. So I'm simply saying, even before Tunisia signs, becomes the 20th member, we can start exploring ways and means. Maybe then at the summit we can then announce that this is what we're already working, because we cannot wait until the signature, because we must at least indicate the progress that we are making. Your Excellency, my dear brother, the Secretary General of UMA, my brother, the Secretary of State for Foreign Trade, and delegations from the member states of UMA. On this note, I thank you for your kind attention. Shukran. I thank you. Merci beaucoup.